And welcome back to a brand new episode with Sam Larson Studio, and today we are going to go over some very important principles regarding something called squash and stretch. What is squash and stretch? Let's go over it with this quick makeshift ball character, alright? When we see him straight on, we've got a nice circle. Perfect. Look at him. Looks amazing. If we stretch him, we can see the face begins to stretch, right? Well, that's squash. We stretch him this way, face begins to stretch. But you see how it still maintains its own proportions to it, alright? If this was full of water, in which case this is filled with like shaving cream or something, then the amount of water wouldn't increase, the amount of volume to this wouldn't increase, but the shape would still change. You know what I'm saying? The reason why we're going over this is an important way to be able to give your characters a little bit more definition, alright? So in this case, we'll just go over a quick circle kind of character, give him a couple eyes, give him a big smile, alright? Pretty easy. Pretty easy. But if we decide to stretch him, this is too big. Look at that. Way too big. It's supposed to have the same kind of structure as the previous one. Alright, this is way too long. So we need to stretch it more like that. Now it's got about the same volume. We have a face stretching. Make it even longer than that if we want to. You get to exaggerate it a little bit, which is a lot of fun. For squashing it, I'm going to do this. We might make it so the face is wincing a little bit. See that? Might do a full squash and really get in there with it. Why is this going to be important? I'm sure everybody's wondering about this. Out of frame. The reason why this is super important is because you can exaggerate certain features to really push characteristics. If a character is happy, you might want to stretch their face more. If they're upset, you might want to stretch their face a little bit more, right? We got a guy with a big smile. We might get to stretch his face and stretch the features a little bit. A guy who's horrified. We're going to make those eyes tiny, the pupils tiny, and the eyes big, and we're going to stretch the face, alright? So, you might end up wanting to take this with a character that you already know how to draw. How can we take a character like Mario or Luigi, squash and stretch them, and exaggerate their features? Are we still in frame? Kind of. It's hard to keep in frame in this format. So we might take a character like Luigi, give him those tiny pupils, and give him these huge eyes. And then we exaggerate the mustache. Normally he doesn't have a mustache like this. Normally this is the Mario kind of mustache, but in this case, it's the Luigi mustache. And we could have tossed the hat up and had it so it's flying off of his head. But you see how you're able to stretch the face. You're able to use it to really push his emotions in this case. And really push those features, right? Look at that. Make it so he looks truly terrified in this case. The reason we're going over this is squash and stretch is a very important fundamental in animation, and it's an awesome trait to be able to use to push your characters a little bit more when you're drawing stuff. And this kind of stuff can be applied to any of the characters that you draw. And it can be a way to really push the emotions and push the way that the character feels. It could be a way to exaggerate another thing. What if a character's getting hit on the head with a hammer in Tom and Jerry? In that case, you gotta have hammer there. Character goes flat and is super exaggerated with it, right? But he doesn't care. This little guy is made up of rubber, so he doesn't have any issue with that. Play with squash and stretch. What character can you come up with? And how can you push them? How can you push these features to make it so it's a little bit more exciting? Can you take an expression and exaggerate it a little bit? We're going to be going over expressions in one of our next episodes, and I think this is an extremely important fundamental to have a grasp of so that we can push expressions moving forward. That's all for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.